Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Good evening, Drew.
I was just singing the Skype song.
I heard it. Yep.
Oh, buddy. Saturday night recording time, huh?
Indeed. Thank you for being
Yeah.
flexible with my
Oh,
life.
thank you for noticing. Um, so what's going on, man? You've had a busy few days, huh?
Oh, just band stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. We live out. We live in the south of Columbus area. So the kids actually had this week off for the Circleville Pumpkin Show. Uh,
Ooh.
So they marched in the parade Thursday night, which is our normal recording night, which is now why we're recording on Saturday.
So you went to the Circleville Pumpkin Fest?
We did. We watched the parade. We walked around for a bit. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's just take your like. It's not on a fairgrounds. It's basically kind of like in downtown Circleville. They close off a bunch of the streets down there. You know, it's exactly what you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
There's a handful of, frightening under maintained carny rides. Lots and lots of bad food. Never this endless stalls peddling crap, and lots of pumpkins, like lots of pumpkins. So
Yep.
yeah.
And don't forget about the largest pumpkin competition and
Yes.
the Miss Pumpkin show.
Yeah.
That's another thing that happens there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the webcams.
Oh yeah, you can look around and see what's happening at the pumpkin show.
There's a lot of people in hoodies.
Yeah,
A lot of people in hoodies.
it was cold. It was cold. I was also one of those people in hoodies. Yeah.
So what'd you get? So obviously you're there to support your son who loves the band very much. But what's your go-to there, man? What'd you get?
I mean, food wise, I got a funnel cake because funnel cakes are
That is
amazing.
the answer, right? Everything else is
Yep. And
God, I love funnel cakes.
I wasn't sure what our plans were going to be, but I told my wife when we left, like, if like my path crosses a funnel cake vendor with like no line or a low line, I'm getting a funnel cake. And then there was one point where she was talking and I see the funnel cake vendor and I just kind of
You just left.
just left.
I'm sure she understood.
Yeah, she did. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, like I haven't had a good funnel cake and it's been a bit. My mom was always a huge fan of funnel cakes and she tried making some at home. I mean, what are we really talking about here? We're talking about fried batter, right?
Yeah.
Of course, the consistency of the oil and then powdered sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't try to like gussy it up with like any kind of pumpkin funnel cakes or anything.
You could get a pumpkin funnel cake. Obviously,
you
it's a
could.
pumpkin, Circleville pumpkin show, but I just wanted a plain funnel cake. So,
Now, okay, so now here's the most crucial piece, right? So you walk up and you're like, one funnel cake, please. And they will hand you this funnel cake. How is it presented to you?
on a paper plate, of course.
On a paper plate is the right answer. Thank you. We're done here.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And like it is paper plate size. Like it goes
Yes.
edge to edge.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That is
Yes.
the correct answer.
Mhm.
Now, do they serve alcohol at the pumpkin show?
I don't believe so.
There looks like there is a very unsafe Ferris wheel in one of these webcams.
Yeah, like yeah. I would not do any of the rides at the pumpkin show, but yeah.
Man, who I really feel bad for in all of this though is John Pritchard.
The second place.
Second place. Here's a guy, right? Guy probably has a farm. He's out there growing pumpkins, and he's got a big boy, big boy gourd, and that sucker weighs in at 1,600 pounds, right? I mean, John's got to go get his tractor or his skid loader. He's got to get that boy loaded up. He's got to haul that thing all the way down to the Circleville Pumpkin Show, and he shows up, and who does he see across the aisle? Steve Thornhill. And Steve, in all his majesty, unveils his 1,850-pound boss hog pumpkin.
Yeah.
And
I
poor
saw
John,
that.
poor John, right? Because John thought he had it. I bet you John thought, man, I really think I got it this year. And he doesn't have it because of Steve. Because of Steve. Like, poor John.
They're big pumpkins, like comically big pumpkins.
I mean, do you just like if you're Steve, right? Okay, so let's play in this space for a minute. So you're Steve, right? You got this 1,800-pound gourd that you lug down to the fair, right? You enter the contest, they weigh it, you win, you get your pumpkin medal and an attaboy from the organizers, and you just leave it there, right? Like, you don't have to take it home, right? It's their problem now, right?
I don't know what they do with the pumpkins when they're done. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to be stuck with like many tons of pumpkins.
Hey, has anybody seen Steve? Steve just left this pumpkin. What do we? Steve, where'd you go? Just skid marks, like Back to the Future style, just out of there. Just wants
it's your problem now.
Someone else has to take care of this. Well, okay, so is band sort of done now?
Because
I think you said it was like the last home game, right?
Yeah, so it was Friday was the last home football game. The Taze Valley football team are going to go into the playoffs, but I don't know where those are going to be held. Probably not at home. As far as like competitions go, they have one more. And that's actually competing at the state finals, and that's a week from today.
Wow! Now, where is that going to be?
In Hilliard Darby High School, I believe.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, we live in Columbus. It's centrally located. It is the capital of Ohio. I mean, it would make the most sense.
Yeah.
How do you like their chances?
So, if it works how I worked, like, they're not really competing with other bands. They're just going for a rating. So, I mean, I think as far as like getting the top rating, they've done it all year. They've been like, basically it's like, do they get rated 1, 2, 3, or 4? 1 being the best. They've gotten ones all the way across the board. They compete in, so like there's different, it all depends on how many kids are in your high school, what like level like you compete in. So there's like C, B, A, and AA being the biggest schools, and they're firmly in the A category.
Right.
And they've competed 3 times. Yeah, they competed 3 times now, performed in 4 shows, but one of them was their own show, and you can't compete in that. And like, for example, like last week, a couple weekends ago, they every year the Ohio State Buckeyes have like a high school band competition that they host, and they basically like they swept almost all the awards for Class A at that competition. Like they're a good band.
Okay. Now, obviously, this is Zach's sort of first year doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he's having a pretty positive experience, man.
Yeah, he likes band, so I'm happy for him. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Way to go, Zach.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's pretty fun. So obviously you had a pretty busy weekend. We're recording on a Saturday.
Yep.
There's stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's go, buddy. Let's dive in.
You want to start with the Apple stuff, because of course we're going to talk about Apple.
We're going to talk about Apple stuff, right?
I'm just going to say it. Holy shit! New MacBook Pros.
Oh man. So okay, before we really dive in and talk about these new MacBook Pros, which look amazing. There's a lot of new things that they're introducing here, right? New chips, new everything. What if you had to look at the list of features of these new MacBooks, what feature are you most excited about?
Can I cheat? Can I cheat a little bit and not go with the feature so much as a design methodology?
Sure.
It really feels that Apple is basically going, we're sorry. We put Johnny Ive in charge, and we got these slim minimalist MacBook Pros for a few years, and they were fine. But Apple's like, okay, we heard you. MagSafe's back. HDMI ports back.
Yeah.
SD card slots back. They're thicker. They're heavier.
Thick boys.
I'm just happy that Apple's like now, like if we have to really get into like the feature that I think is like to me the most exciting, like the actual hardware feature, man, I'm so glad that like there's so many to choose from. I'm glad these laptops are getting high refresh displays.
Yes, that's the one. That's exactly the one I was going to pick, right? So ProMotion is coming to the laptops. That's the 120 hertz refresh rate, plus Liquid Retina is still a thing. The display on these MacBooks has always been the thing. Like I've talked to so many people who, and in fact, I'm talking to a friend of the show, Eric, right now, who's in the midst of waiting for a MacBook to ship. A MacBook Pro to ship. He basically bought one of the last Intel ones that you could buy for reasons that he needs. He still needs access to the Intel architecture. But he was asking me, like, how do I move to a Mac? And one of the things that you taught me is the real strength of the Mac is really in the displays that they offer, which is why it's so important that if you plan to sort of use your laptop as your sort of daily driver workstation, number one, you probably need an external monitor, and that monitor really needs to be a super high pixel depth monitor, which is why they make the $1,100 and $1,200 or the whatever it is $6,000 Apple one.
Yeah,
that gives you that native resolution. Because as somebody who has hooked up Macs to projectors at conferences or TVs presenting at customers, like anything that is 1080p or even 1440p just doesn't look very good when you have a Mac hooked up to it.
That's true.
And the ProMotion displays and everything that are part of these, number one, really makes me want to go to the 16. I've sort of have been craving a new MacBook Pro. Mine is coming up on, I think, probably 3 years old at this point. Maybe 2.5. I think it's 3 years at this point, because I've been at Microsoft for 2, and I had it when I was working with you. So I feel like it's going to be 3. It's going to be 3 years. I have a 15-inch now, and I really want to go to the 16-inch. I mean, the 14-inch doesn't look like it's a slouch, but buddy, I'm so super jazzed for this. Function keys are back. No more touch bar.
No more touch bar.
No more touch bar. MagSafe, you sort of hit on it. That was always a feature that I always scratched my head on as to why it had to go away, because it was just perfect.
Me too.
It was perfect.
Yeah. And now, like, it's super fast charging. Like, yeah. Like, you get, like, half of the charge in 30 minutes or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Now, make no mistake, right? I mean, I think the reason that Apple was so sort of hyped to do this event for us is that they're basically saying, hey, we have the M1, right? But now you can get the M1 chip, which sort of was what they introduced in the last model refreshes that they did. But now they basically have segmented the M1 out. So you have the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. And
M1 Max.
And as somebody who has only sort of like read a little bit about what the difference is between the two, all I know is that when I click on the order page for the MacBook Pro, the Max doesn't appear to even be an option unless you're in the 16-inch. Unless, let me see here.
No, you can get it in the 14. You can get the most powerful M1 Max chip in the 14, fully spec'd, 64 gigs of RAM. Like, you can get all of that. Like, they used to, like, you couldn't get the highest end options unless you were in the big one. But this year, like, I don't think they sell them in like stock configs, but you can customize that sucker and scale that bad boy all the way up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you're right. So if I pick the 14-inch space gray, the correct color, that's the M1 Pro. That's the M1 Pro with 16 gigs of RAM. You could go to 14. Yeah, but see, man, like the minute you do that man, they're expensive this year, man. Oh, they're expensive this year. Yeah, you can get the M1 Pro and the 14-inch. I really don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I want the bigger screen. So if I pop back over to the 16-inch, you could get the 16 gig, 10 core, space gray. Oh, man, the RAM is just so expensive. Oh,
yeah, they really. I mean, it's Apple and RAM, but
Yeah, but with these chips, do I really need 32 anymore? I mean, that's the question, right?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on what you're doing.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like the minute you go to the max, you have to be in the 32 gig category, it looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
Oof, yikes.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it looks like the really the only difference is, other than maybe it being a little bit faster, is some higher memory bandwidth. But I really haven't seen
and more CPU cores.
Yeah,
that's you can get a lot more CPU. Like
10 core. 10 core CPU up to 32 core GPU.
Yeah,
is on the max, so you get more GPU cores.
Yep. Yeah.
So I guess the question is, are you in on this? Like, well, you just got a new one for work not too long ago, didn't you?
Yeah, like I have my personal Mac is a 2019 16-inch Intel based model. I have an M1 MacBook Air that work gave me that I absolutely love. Honestly, like my personal Mac has become like not even my secondary device. It's more like my tertiary device. Like for me, it really goes work laptop, iPad Pro, personal Mac. Like that's just how it is. Like if I was going to spend money on anything, I'd buy a new iPad Pro because I'd get just more use out of it. But like I'm more excited about this product than I've been excited for about anything Apple made for a long time, even though I'm not going to buy it. It's just nice to look at what Apple's doing and go, yes, that's the direction I want you to go.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the last time I looked, my current MacBook Pro is probably worth like a $1,600 trade-in value. So I could blunt a lot of this cost pretty decently if I trade in my old MacBook Pro. But yeah, man, I'm super jazzed for these things. I think it finally might convince me that it's time to upgrade. I think the HDMI port is a huge win. I mean, I've never been a person who super cares about the memory card slot, but then again, I haven't been like out taking pictures of things because of gestures at everything.
Right.
But yeah, I'm super pumped for these things. I think that it's really cool. And I was sort of watching the live stream the day that they announced these, but I didn't get a chance to really dig into it ahead of time. But any other thoughts on the MacBook before we talk about the thing that I didn't even know was a thing?
I'm just like they look really nice. Like I'm happy to know that when I do decide to upgrade my personal Mac that there's going to be a good MacBook out there, and I'm excited to see what they do with like the higher end iMacs and the new Mac Pro, that their desktop line. So yeah, more of it. And like the performance they're getting the performance and battery life they're getting out of these chips, and it's like I can't wait to see what the M2 looks like. So yeah, more please.
Now, if I'm being honest though, I thought we were going to see an M2 and not just like an enhanced M1.
Well, they could have named it anything they want, right?
I know, but yeah. I mean, architecturally, it's not much different than what we have, right?
No. Fundamentally, it's the same. It's built on the same 7-nanometer process from Taiwan Semiconductor. Really, what they did is they just added more to it. Like, they added more memory modules to get higher, because the original M1 was only limited to 16 gigs of RAM. So they added multiple memory modules to increase the cap and also to increase memory bandwidth. They really scaled up the GPU cores. The original M1, I think, has 4 high performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, where these ones have, I think, 8 high performance and 2 efficiency cores. So they definitely leaned into like the power aspect of it. Yeah, it's good. They're good all the way down.
Oh, so happy. Okay, now this next thing is, I missed this in the Apple announcement. So talk me through the 3rd generation AirPods.
Yeah, they came out with new AirPods. They look like the AirPods Pro, but they don't have that kind of rubber tip on the ends, and they don't have noise canceling. They're just regular AirPods with the kind of the new modern pro design. All the controls are, you don't have to tap your ear to like play pause. You squeeze the stem, which I think is much better. For me, I love everything about the AirPods Pro except how they feel in my ear. I don't find them super comfortable. And to get like a really good like noise canceling performance, I have to use the big like rubber tips, and I find those absolutely excruciating to wear. So I wear the mediums, and so the noise canceling just doesn't work well for me. So when these came out, I was like, yes, this is what I want. I don't need the noise canceling functions, but I like the AirPods Pro shape. So I ordered a pair.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The AirPods are hands down my favorite Apple product. I use them literally every day. I use them as my primary video conferencing equipment because a lot of times, whether I'm talking on a conference call or not, I'm usually moving around unless I'm presenting because it helps my train of thought. If I'm sort of walking and talking, it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm weird like that, but I love having the flexibility to have a wireless headset that isn't like, it doesn't make it look like I work in a call center, right? So the AirPods, they're perfect. The first and second generation AirPods fit in my ear really well. The AirPods Pro have never fit in my ear well. I never liked them. I never liked the Pro model at all. So whenever you put this link in the show notes, I was like, or in the show docs, I was very concerned because number one, I don't see the big obtrusive probe that goes into your ear canal, but they do look bigger.
Yeah, I think they're shaped like the Pro is really just minus the ear tips. I'll know on Tuesday when I get my pair. But luckily, they still sell the second generation AirPods. So if you really like that shape and you need a new pair, they're still there.
Using mine every day, the battery life on mine is not great. I can get through about 3 hours worth of phone calls before mine die now. I do not use them to play music anymore. I also use them when I'm cutting the grass. Which is fine, but the battery life on these things, because I've owned this current set for a few years now, and they're just, they don't hold a charge as well as they used to.
Right. They're itty bitty little batteries. Like, they're not going to last forever.
Yeah, so I'm definitely in the market. So I would love to hear kind of how, because it sounds like you have the same grapes with the Pros that I have. So I'll kind of really be interested to hear what you think when you get yours.
Yeah. And they support spatial audio, but I hate spatial audio. So.
Well, what is it? Explain spatial audio.
Okay, so spatial audio kind of exists in... it's all basically the same kind of thing. What they're trying to do is simulate kind of a like 7.1 surround sound with your AirPods. And how they do that is... Okay, so... Say like you're watching a movie on your iPad, right? And so the AirPods have gyros in them, right? So it knows when you're looking at your iPad, roughly. But like if you turn your head, like what speakers your ears are pointing at change. Because imagine like virtual speakers around your head. So as you kind of move your head around, the sound profile changes. And in Apple Music, they've kind of remixed a bunch of albums I would never care about because it's all popular music, to have kind of like spatial audio mixes where they try to have more of a surround kind of thing. I find it to be extremely disorienting, and I think it sounds bad. So like, I always go in and just turn that shit off because I just don't like it. But a lot of people do. It's Apple's gimmick to make, I don't know, to sell more Apple Music subscriptions. I don't know. It's not for me. I tried it. I did not like it. I tried it like watching a movie, and it lasted like all of 15 seconds. And I think when I upgraded to like the main release of like iOS 15, it turned itself on, and I was like, what the hell's wrong with my AirPods. Oh, spatial audio is on. Got it. Turn that off. Okay. Next.
Yeah, I don't think mine support that right now, so I don't think I've experienced that. But I'll be looking for it. Should I get a new pair of these AirPods? Okay, so cool. One last Apple topic on here. You tried wireless CarPlay.
I did. Okay, so like I said, I got a new car. The only feature that it didn't really come with that would have been nice to have is wireless CarPlay. It does have a Qi, like a Qi wireless charger that I can slap my phone down and charge it. So you know what? Like, there's this whole market of like aftermarket third-party wireless CarPlay adapters, where you get this little black box. You plug the black box into your USB port where you would plug your phone in normally, and then it kind of turns your car into wireless CarPlay. It's awful. It's awful.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Not to bury the lead or to make the lead too soon. It's not good. It's not good. I put a link into the model that I got. I've done some more research past this. There are other models that are quote unquote faster, but I think fundamentally they're all using the same. Like, there's one company in China that is making a chip that does this, and they're just putting them in different boxes with like different processors attached to them.
Yeah. Okay. So let me make sure I understand here. So in order for you to get CarPlay today, you have to plug in your phone via a USB interface to your car.
Yeah, USB to Lightning. Yep, plug it in. Now,
and I'm sure
it charges through there, which is nice.
Yeah, it charges through there, great. And I'm sure that the audio quality and what is currently displaying on your phone is what is happening in your car.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It works exactly as advertised.
Yep.
Wireless CarPlay, right? So my car has wireless CarPlay built in. I think that's like one of like 4 or 5 manufacturers that offers it. And it uses what I assume to be is a mixture of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to make it work, because my car has Wi-Fi, and in order for wireless CarPlay to work, not only does it have to be paired Bluetooth to the car, but it also the Wi-Fi has to be turned on the car, and you have to allow access to Wi-Fi on the phone. So it's using both.
I believe it uses Bluetooth for the initial like connection and recognizing the two devices, and then it steers it to a Wi-Fi network. And I think these little devices do the exact same thing.
Yeah. So I could see it sort of acting like a bridge. Now, wireless CarPlay is pretty cool because like I can get in my car, and if my phone is adequately charged, it never has to leave my person. Like, it's just in my pocket, and my car knows about it, and I get access to Spotify or my podcasts or my maps, navigation, phone, like whatever, right? It's great. I get it. But I will say that it's not always perfect. There is like the example that I always use is, let's say that I am sitting in a parking lot, and my lady friend goes into TJ's or goes into Whole Foods. TJ's is Trader Joe's, not TJ's, a fun casual joint. No, it's she would never go there. But she goes into a place like that, and I'm like, I don't want to go in there. There's too much granola. And I'll sit in my car, and I will pull out my phone, and I'll fire up YouTube. Okay, so I'll fire up the YouTube app, and I'll start watching a video. There is lag between what is showing in the video and what is playing through my car speaker. So there is a component of that to where, CarPlay, I think, assuming best intent, is you're not looking at anything but the road, dummy. Like, why would you be watching what's on your screen? But for instances where I can look at my screen and I can watch a video, there's like a half-second lag. So like it's really noticeable on things that are like music videos or something that I want to watch. But it's not perfect by any stretch. But what happened with this?
So this also has that same kind of like, there is a delay. Like if you go to play audio, there is at least to me, having something that ran off a wire, like when I issued the command to like play or skip my podcast, 30 seconds. There is a good like half a second to a second delay for that command to actually take place. So much so that a lot of times I'm like, did I hit the skip button? And I hit it again, and then I skipped too far, and then it's bad. So there is that kind of audio sync delay. There is noticeable kind of judder and lag in the display. As I'm going to scroll or launch apps, it is just not as smooth or responsive as the Wire. And the kind of first boot process is horrible. Absolutely horrible. So what I'm used to is, I turn the car on, my car kind of boots, and I plug my cable in to my lightning cable, and I put my phone down, and like the car computer is turning itself on. So it's always like, 5 seconds before it ever starts, connect. It goes, oh, I see something's connected to USB. Let's go find out what that thing is. Then CarPlay launches. But like, by the time I'm backing out of my, driveway, like CarPlay's up and running completely. Like I can have a map up. I can be ready to go. This is worse. So that 5 to 10 second kind of startup delay is the first part of this. So like after it's kind of turned on the USB, this thing starts to boot. And it takes probably 30 seconds to boot.
Wait a second. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. So this thing is plugged in. It's not like a solid state thing that is just on, like it has to boot with your car.
Oh, yeah. It's got a little computer in it, and it's got to do computer things. So like it starts turning on, and then about 30 seconds afterwards, it displays its kind of generic, like, please connect to me UI. So this is not CarPlay at this point. This is just kind of this generic black UI where it says, hey, connect to your, connect with Bluetooth to this thing. And eventually my phone will, like, I paired it once, the Bluetooth, it will do its Bluetooth thing. You go, oh, I know that phone. I'll connect to that. Then after it connects, there is a multi-second delay as that connection process happens. And then CarPlay comes up.
Okay.
So it is probably, I haven't timed it with the stopwatch, but it's probably a good 45 seconds to a minute before CarPlay is going. And like, I've watched other YouTube videos like, this is the fastest CarPlay adapter that you can find. And it's still like 35, 40 seconds.
I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to pretend that mine's instantaneous. Like if I were to go out to my garage and like turn on my car, it's probably 5 or 10 seconds before my phone switches to CarPlay.
Yeah. And I have that with my cable as well. And I'm fine with that, but this is just and if you add all of like this, the slow startup, the delay, the poor performance of the screen, and the fact that like, I don't know, like the Qi wireless charger in my car is like the slowest charging thing in the world. I decided the whole thing wasn't worth it, and I just went back to plugging my phone in with the cable, because not only does it charge much faster and more reliably, it's a much better experience. Everything is really fast and snappy. It connects fast. There's absolutely no delay in the audio when I, hit play, pause, or, skip forward 30 seconds. It's bam, responsive. It's done. I'm happy with the cable.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I have gone back to the cable a few times in my car because the wireless charger in my car does not charge it very efficiently at all, and it makes my phone very hot.
Yeah, mine actually has a fan built into it. I learned.
The Lexus I test drove when I was looking at cars also had a little fan that kicked on.
Yeah. It was like, I hear this little zzz. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And yeah, sure enough. And like, it seems to charge it just enough to kind of keep up with what you're using with the CarPlay. And it's like, is it actually charging? It's like, yeah, but it's not a very fast Qi charger.
No.
So I actually just like I made the call. Like I just turned it off and threw the wireless CarPlay adapter in my glove box and went like, let's break out the USB cable again. And yeah. I mean,
this thing doesn't look like it was cheap though.
It was $100, which I've spent more. I've wasted more money on things.
Yeah,
I did not get it for $100. I bought it for $99. But still, yeah.
Okay.
Not. I don't know. It's one of those websites where it's like, hey, this is our own website, and we've got 6,327 5-star reviews.
I was just looking at that. There is an absurd amount of 5-star reviews on here.
Yeah, but it's their website, right? So why would they put anything but a 5-star review up there, right?
Well, okay. Can you order it from Amazon?
This particular one, I don't believe you can. You can order similar things. This is just the one that, like, I had a bookmark for a long time, and I actually think it came recommended from Casey Liss from the Accidental Tech podcast.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I plug that specific product into Amazon, it looks like there are other ones that look very similar. There's one in here that has 461 reviews. What are the reviews looking like here? I mean, it almost looks like the exact same screenshots.
So I've watched many YouTube videos, and like the whole like boot up and connection experience, as everyone I've seen is exactly the same. So I really believe there is like one manufacturer producing these chips, and people are just putting it in their own box and stuff for like. Maybe they have to add your own wireless module or something, but like, yeah, they're all the same, just different plastic shells and manufacturers. And
okay, so I'm just kind of glancing through the reviews, not of the product that you ordered, but a very similar product on Amazon, right? And there are 461 reviews of this product. It's averaging 3.8 out of 5 stars. 55% of those reviews, so over 200 of these reviews are 5-star. There's a really big smattering of 4-star and 1-star. So like there's like 20% 1-star, and then the rest are like 4-star, and there's like a couple 3 and 2s. But just reading like the reviews, now the 1-star reviews are basically summing up the experience that you have. Yeah. However, and this is the problem I have with Amazon reviews, of which I have many, but one of the problems I have with Amazon reviews is the title of this review pretty much sums this up. Works in 2021 RAV4. Plugged it in and worked. Plugged it in and worked. Like, doesn't talk about the experience, doesn't talk about how it works. Just works. 5 stars. Perfect in Jeep Renegade, right? Was fully mentally prepared for this not to work and was pleasantly surprised. Took it out of the box, plugged it in, interface pops up, and it paired like any other Bluetooth device. Like, that's it. Like, that's all they say.
Yeah, like... It does work. Like if you were forced me to give it like, like how many Amazon stars, I'd probably give it 3. Like it does what it says. You plug it in, you can connect via Bluetooth. It does wireless CarPlay. Like boom, like that absolutely does work. I'm just like,
it just doesn't do it well.
It doesn't do it. It doesn't do it as like, I've been using CarPlay for a long time now. I've got like this ingrained mental model for how things work and the responsiveness, and this I think that just broke my mental model. Like if I had never played around with it with a wire, I probably would be much happier. Like oh yeah, wireless CarPlay, it's great. Like yeah, it's a little laggy, but computers, what are you gonna do?
Right.
But I know how good it can be with a wire, and that's what I'm used to. And to me, the inconveniences and the little annoyances wasn't worth it. The benefits I got from it didn't outweigh the negatives, and I'm still plugging it in with the wire now, and I still have a coiled up braided USB cable kind of just hanging out in my car, but it works so much better. So yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that you had that happen.
Yeah, no, it's really less of a complaint and more just of a story. Like, I tried this thing and it did, like I said, 3 stars. Like, it worked. It absolutely does work. If you really want wireless CarPlay and you have a different set of trade-offs and like values than I did, like it's great. Like, it absolutely does work.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
we're not saying that there's any false advertising here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you would think that even if you're using sort of a wireless bridge like this, that it would work just better than it works.
Yeah.
Like it works. It wireless CarPlay. It works. Like, that's the like it's just, yeah. I know where you're coming from, and it would annoy me too. I mean, you and I are, I think, dialed in on the same frequency there. No, I probably would have thrown it away as well. But okay. Paul, I've got a new hobby. And
I'm
like all hobbies,
for you.
What's that?
Does it cost money?
Yep.
Gear?
Sure.
Okay. Tell me.
I have become obsessed with taking care of my lawn. Now, astute listeners, astute listener, because I think there's only one other person that listens to this podcast at this point, will know that about this time last year, I took a pretty big interest in trying to rehabilitate what was essentially my dead lawn at my old house. Now, my old house, I did not have the responsibility of taking care of my lawn. There was a company that would come and cut the grass once a week. They would spray for weeds. Like, it was all sort of bundled into the association fee that I had. That is not the case at my new home. And I have a yard that is probably, by surface area alone, 10 times bigger than what I had at my previous house.
Wow. Okay.
So ever since we've moved in, it has been kind of a Saturday ritual in my house to where at some point during the day, I go outside and I spend about 2 or 2.5 hours in the yard doing work. Right now, it's primarily up until this point been, mowing. I just have a push mower. I don't have a tractor. I probably need a tractor for a yard this size, but I didn't want to buy one. So I push it, and then I bought a really nice cordless electric weed whacker, essentially. That's really nice, holds a really good charge, and has performed really well. And then, a bunch of other stuff. Well, now we're getting into sort of these colder months, and this is the time of year where if you need to plant grass seed, this is usually when you do it, right? Right here in the fall, when the weather cools off a little bit more, we get a little bit more rain. This is the time to do it. So I've been binging, similar like what you do with your British coffee boy. I've been binging a lot of YouTube videos on sort of how to prepare this yard to get ready for winter. And, I've spent the last couple weekends overseeding my lawn. I bought a new seed spreader. I've been buying different stuff to put on the lawn to get it ready. And, now that we've had a few days of rain, I'm just hoping that I did all this right. And now I'm at the point where I sort of woke up the other day and realized, hey, I have more than just grass in my yard. I have landscaping. Mm. So as somebody who has never cared for another living thing other than my dog, it's been kind of a journey for me to sort of figure out what is the best way to sort of what do I need to cut back? How do I basically make sure all this stuff doesn't die and then doesn't come back next year kind of thing. And look, I never ever paid attention to this stuff. This is all new to me, right? When I was growing up, absolutely, I helped my parents cut the grass. I helped my grandparents cut their grass. But, I never had to take care of a flower bed. I never had to take care of wild grass, right? I never had to trim branches off of trees. That isn't something that I've had to deal with. And, I can hear the people out there, well, I don't cut my grass. I hire somebody to do it. Good for you. That's not something that I can do right now. I don't mind it's not a question of getting out there and doing the work, because I actually kind of enjoy it. At the end of the day, I actually do enjoy going out there and cutting my grass and working on this stuff. It's a question of just not knowing, right? I could apply this same metaphor to anything I do professionally with technology that I don't understand. These plants are just a different technology stack that I just haven't mastered yet. There, I said it. But it's like, it's just it's really stressful because, where I live, there is pressure to make sure that you keep up on this stuff. And I
would imagine where you live. Woo.
Yeah. And I don't want to be that neighbor, right? Like I definitely make an effort to keep my lawn cut. I cut it once a week. Some people cut on the average here. Like my one neighbor, I think he's out there every 10 or so days just because he's a little bit elderly and I don't think he can get out there as much. But, everybody here does a really good job of maintaining things. And I'm new guy, right? I'm new guy on the block and I don't want to let anybody down.
Right.
And I live on the corner at the entrance to the neighborhood. So it's not like my house is tucked back in a corner. It's like out of the way. It's like, hey, everybody, here's Drew's house. Look at his yard, right? So it's like, I have an incentive to do that. So long story short, I've been sort of shopping and buying a bunch of stuff to take care of my yard. And, there's not going to be much more that I can do to it this year. But come springtime, when I need to re-edge all of these beds and plant new stuff, that's going to be something. But at the same time, it is actually pretty fun. It gives me something to do that I previously have not had to do as a homeowner. I do like it. And buddy, you want to talk about gear. Okay. You want to talk
right.
about gear. You can get into it here with lawn gear, right? Like there's all sorts of different types of seed spreaders. I mean, depending on how much surface area you need to cover, there's different grass seed that you can get, right? Like, depending on what's under trees or, what's under shade and what's not. I'm already looking at all the cool tools that I want to buy for next season. My dad is a big fan of Stihl, Stihl. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I think so.
Yeah, they make lawn equipment, but they also make really nice cordless stuff. So I just put a link in the show notes, and we're not sponsored by Stihl. We're not sponsored by anybody. Let's just be clear. But like when you look at the different products that they offer, I bought, let me see if I can find it here. Product selector. Their website isn't great, which is actually, I think, a feature, not a bug, because I don't think they care about anything electrical. Because so here's the interesting thing about this brand, right? You have to go buy this from a dealer that sells these things. And like when you walk in there, so I didn't know this, but like there's a small little mom and pop hardware store not too far from where I live that sells these things. And you go in and they got like display models and you can walk in and be like, I want that chainsaw. Well, when they sell it to you, they don't give you a box with the product in it. They literally give you the full thing assembled. Like they hand it to you like, here you go, here's your thing. Right. And they hand you all the manuals and everything, and they give you all the information like, hey, if you have problems, you could bring it back to us or you could send it into them. Like they'll take good care of you. Like there's all sorts of sort of rules about how these things are sort of sold. Let me see here. I think that it's in here. Trimming around short driveways. I think it's this one. I'm trying to find it. It's a battery trimmer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this one. And like the unit itself, it is this one. The FSA 57. It's when you look at it, it doesn't look very expensive, but the reason it's not very expensive is it comes with the smallest capacity battery. You can buy higher capacity batteries that are like lithium ion battery ones that are higher capacity. But they make really nice stuff. But anyway, like I've already got like an electric chainsaw on my wish list because I'm going to have to trim a whole bunch of trees next year. I want to get an edge tool. I really want to get one of their blowers for blowing things off. Like we have a little battery powered like leaf blower right now that's fine, but I want to get something that's better. And then, my irrigation system, I'm going to do some upgrades to next year. I'm going to get it. I already have a nice little Wi-Fi unit, but I want to upgrade that to the next higher version. So I say all this to say that sort of taking care of my yard has become my new thing, and I'm really enjoying it. So
cool.
Look for more updates from me there. Probably me complaining on Twitter more than anything.
Yeah. I'm firmly in the do enough lawn work not to get yelled at by my neighbor's camp. That's as far as I really go. Yeah, I absolutely hate yard work. So I'm glad you find it so enthralling.
I mean, listen, talk to me at this time next year, right? Because we have
right.
We have successfully made it through the summer of me sticking to my routine and cutting the grass and me not getting frustrated. And we have had a few dead spots on the lawn that I've successfully patched. And I think I've mentioned before that, like, right before we moved in, they replaced all the curbs on our property, on the whole street that we live on. And that required them to, like, kill all the grass that was next to it. And, like, the city came and sprayed grass seed, but none of it grew. And then it was all weeds. So, like, I pulled all the weeds and replanted grass seed, and it looks better. And after I'm done cutting the grass, I literally walk my yard with a little trowel and I pull out the weeds that I see. Like, I haven't hired any companies to come and spray anything this year just because, like, we moved in midsummer, and, we're getting to the time of year now where I will stop mowing at some point, probably in the next month or so. So I'm not really worried about it right now. And, maybe I should be. That's the kind of stuff I don't know 100%, but I really want to embrace this. I want to lean into it. I want to make sure it continues to look good. And, if I have to buy cool toys to support that lifestyle, then so be it.
Cool.
Yep. Last thing, before we wrap up here, Paul, what are your thoughts on calzones?
Calzones. That's a good question, Drew. I don't seek out calzones, but I've never said no to a good calzone. Now, like, I don't want you to go fancy with my calzone, right? I want, like, sauce, meat, and cheese, right? I don't need, like, weird stuff in my calzone. But I'm not enthusiastically pro calzone, but I'm pro calzone. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you sort of hit on the topic that I want to talk about a little bit here, and that is, how fancy can you go with a calzone? Let me just say this. Okay, so I have a challenge for the audience this week. I need your help to sort of figure out what is the right way to order a calzone. Now let me sort of set the stage here, okay? I think that if you were to, like, go into your mind palace and think about what a calzone is, like, just close your eyes with me for a second, Paul, and just word association. I say calzone. What's the first word that pops into your head?
First word, pepperoni.
Pepperonis, right? Pepperonis.
Those little greasy circle-y bastards.
Little greasy wannabe salamis, right? Like, it's like. Yeah, I think that for most of us, when we're talking about calzone, we're talking about a foldable pastry with meat in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And probably some cheese. Some establishments prefer to put the sauce on the inside, like one big meaty gusher. Some prefer to give you little insufficient dipping trays that are never enough. So, I think
both. Why not?
Yeah,
both,
why not both sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, but here's my thing though. I feel like a calzone should be more than that. Because I grew up in a household where there was a very, very clear line between I'm eating a pepperoni roll or I'm eating a calzone, right? Because calzones, I think, traditionally have had more than just a meat and a cheese, right? Like, maybe there's some spinach flying around in there or some sort of vegetable that goes in with it, right? So I say all that to say, I have tried on multiple occasions to class up a calzone, and I haven't cracked this code yet. So I'm asking for our audience's help. Like, help a starving Drew, right? Like, help me build a better calzone. Like, let me just give you an example. There's a restaurant not too far from where I live that makes calzones. And if I walk in there and I get what we consider to be the traditional calzone experience, they do a very, very good job. No complaints. They use relatively good dough. They have a variety of different dipping sauces, and you won't be disappointed if you get a large calzone for $14 from them. It's not a bad experience. But what they do offer you is they give you the ability to build your own calzones. And this is where science has bitten me very hard, because I have tried things like ham. I have tried things like chicken. I have tried different types and blends of cheeses. I have tried different sauces. I have tried a multitude of different combinations. And every time I have never been able to finish the calzone because I get disgusted with myself for thinking I should have just got pepperoni. So my challenge to the audience is help me, send me your calzone recommendations. Now there's got to be rules. There's got to be rules here. Number one, if it is not an ingredient that I would consider to be palpable, like any type of seafood, no, I'm going to ignore you. Like, seafood doesn't belong in a calzone. Like, I'm willing to accept like different types of Italian meats and cheeses, but if you come at me and be like, try some cod, I'm going to be like, get the fuck off my Twitter feed. Like, I don't want you in my life if you're going to recommend seafood to me in a calzone. Like, that's not a thing that you can do and me have any respect for you. So consider that before you send these recommendations in. And let me be honest, no one's going to send in any recommendations because nobody listens to this. But I would love your recommendations. And in the show notes, I will put a link to the establishment. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. That I order the calzones from. You can look at their menu, and if you look at the build your own calzone section of their menu, I would love your suggestions, and I will choose multiple listeners that submit ideas. I will order the calzones, and I will basically review what comes out of this experiment.
See, I think your approach to calzones and my approach to calzones is completely different. You're looking for something fancy, and really what I'm looking for is kind of the adult version of like a Pizza Hot Pocket.
Yeah, I know, and that's fine. I'm not saying that it isn't acceptable, because sometimes I want that too.
Yeah, but I'd much rather be eating a Pizza Hot Pocket, but I have to be fancy and eat a calzone.
But if I want dough and meat and pepperoni, I'll just order a pizza. Like, I feel like a calzone can aspire to be more, right? It is like the Cinderella of Italian dishes. Like, it can be so much more.
Yeah, but I don't see. I have the same feeling about omelets. Like,
oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on
I don't like a fancy omelet. I like just like the base, like cheese, egg, milk. That's it. Like, I don't need spinach in there. I don't need ham in there. Like, just give me the core, the root omelet experience. I have the very same feelings about calzone. I think your pizza toppings are really the best bet. Sausage, cheese, pepperoni, sauce, ship it. That's peak calzone. Everything
what about some basil in there, bud? What about some olive oil in there, friendo? Like, we got options here, man. And listen, if you're Team Paul here, and if you feel the same way Paul does, and you're like, Drew, don't fuck with a classic, that's an okay answer too. That's an okay answer. But for those of you that want to see your calzones do more for you, I want to hear what your recommendations are.
Okay.
So that's the challenge. That's the audience challenge. It's a new bit we're doing here. We're doing the audience challenge part of the show now. So I want to hear, and I won't eat it on the air, because I know there are some of you out there that are giant babies and can't handle mouth sounds. Boo-hoo. I won't eat it on the air. I'll just take pictures of me eating it, probably with like I'll probably take a picture of my mouth full, so be ready for that. But like, I won't eat it on the air and disgust anybody.
Okay. All right. I'm looking. So their pizza and calzone menu appears to be the same thing. Like, they have the same set of toppings for each one. Is that what I'm seeing?
What is it again?
I don't know. I'm looking at the menu you put in there.
Yeah.
But what the hell is this curry calzone? What the hell?
Okay. So let me stop you right there. You want to do the build your own, all right? Okay. The BYO calzone, right? Don't fuck with what they're trying to class up here. Just build your own.
Okay. All right.
There should be a build your own. Let me see here. Like if you go to so if you go to order online, schedule for later. Let's see here. I think it's under the. First of all, what the fuck is a turkey waffle sandwich? Where is it? It's down here somewhere. Entrees. Pizza or calzone. And then you say large BYO calzone. You will get a list of all the toppings. Now, there's substantial. There's substantial, right? Like pineapple's a choice, which please don't be that person, right? But like, I feel like you could get pretty wild with this. Like, if you wanted an artichoke, avocado, and green pepper calzone, like that might be tasty to somebody. I mean, it won't be for me, but I would love to hear what somebody thinks that's food.
Oh,
all right, let's get the hell out of here before I have more strong feelings.
As always, we're on the internet, doingtheirbest.com. We're on Twitter at doingbestpod. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Baylor. And where can we find you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Pittfurg, Pittfurg.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you.